the president ordered the military to get ready.
So down at Central Command in Tampa, they were drawing up possible targets. They had lists of what could be hit on the first day, what could be hit on the second day.
The consensus was that the Pentagon would launch strikes on Saturday, August 31st.
Our finger was on the trigger. We had gone through the targeting plans and the targeting solutions. The crews were alerted, and so we had everything in place, and we were just waiting for instructions to proceed.
And the threat of U.S. action was enough to, have a significant effect on the ground. It was noted all over the Arab world that suddenly people in the regime were panicking.
But Obama's having second thoughts. He's feeling alone. His friends in Britain say, yes, we're with you, but then Parliament says, no, we're not.
It is clear to me that the British Parliament, reflecting the views of the British people, does not want to see British military action. I get that, and the government will act accordingly.
It was a Friday night, and I got a call from the President of the United States, and he said to me, I am considering an alternative course of action, and he wanted me overnight to consider whether a delay would in any way affect our ability to be effective with our military options.
The next morning, Obama summoned his longtime foreign policy advisor, now Chief of Staff, Dennis McDonough.
And he goes for a walk on the South Lawn with McDonough, and they circle this pathway again and again and again for 45 minutes talking about what to do. And the president tells him, I've got this idea. Why don't we go to Congress and ask them to approve a strike? What he's looking for is buy-in.
As near as we can tell, he worried that he didn't have sufficient political support for what might be a long-running conflict.
The president was looking for a way to not have to make good on the threat that he had made. I think because the president, having drawn that red line, realized that he had no appetite for direct military engagement in Syria.
So he comes back in from this walk with Dennis McDonough, and he tells some of his other advisors, and they can't believe what they're hearing. This is a crazy idea as far as they're concerned. If you go to Congress, they tell him, and you lose a vote like this, it would be devastating to your political standing. And they pushed back, and he held firm.
A few hours later, the president called a press conference in the Rose Garden.
After careful deliberation, I have decided that the United States should take military action against Syrian regime targets. But having made my decision as Commander-in-Chief based on what I am convinced is our national security interests, I will seek authorization for the use of force from the American people's representatives in Congress.
At the time, he was describing it as seeking strong political support for this decisive move. He had all the rhetoric of action, but in truth it was stepping back from the imminent attack that was ahead. It was all in motion, and at the last minute, the president blinked.
I was there in southern Turkey at that time, and I can tell you that the Syrian people were looking at the skies, hoping that the United States Air Force would come to the rescue. And then all of a sudden, on September 1st, the Syrian people woke up and realized that the United States was not going to come to the rescue.
Not only did the Syrians believe this, the French armed forces were mobilizing. They were ready to go ahead, and they stopped at the last minute when they heard that the president is going to ask for congressional authorization.
I mean, this is, in some ways, the riskiest decision, certainly in foreign policy, that he's made of his presidency.